Exactly 30 years after I graduated from the University of Westminster, I returned there to do my master's in multimedia journalism. Day one, and I have to register at the Baker Street site. So I go there and I leave a bona fide student. Harrow is my base, and this room would become the place that I would spend most of my time over the year, a state-of-the-art newsroom. Over the next couple of months, I would learn to use new equipment, like the Zoom kit. Who would have thought that a Zoom kit had nothing whatsoever to do with Zoom? Not me. We had to learn about media law, and these lectures were held at the law department, which was on a different site. To be quite honest, with the exception of the law classes and one or two other things, we spent very little time in the classroom. We were literally up, out, and about being journalists, thrown in at the deep end. It was such a practical course. However, there were key things that we did need to be in the building for to learn about, like the radio studio when we had to do voiceovers or packages, or live on-air radio broadcasts. We were also doing video broadcasts, and we had a proper newsroom set up where we were in a newsroom and everything was made to be like the real thing. We went to City Hall for the mayor's question time. And I can't get over how much we crammed into this 1 year. Actually, when I look back on it now, we did so much. We were straight out on the streets interviewing random strangers just for our assignments. We had to get out there and just do it. On the odd occasion that we happened to be indoors in the classroom, it was voice training, it was camera training, it was just everything to get us ready to set us loose on unsuspecting bystanders, strangers who we bumped into on the street and asked, very politely, if they would care to, to give us an interview. We also went to the courts to listen to and report on cases. But you know, the news has to come from somewhere, so most of the time we were out covering the news. The plan was clear, to make us journalists. Sometimes we were in front of the camera, sometimes we were behind the camera. Sometimes we had to use the auto cue. Other times we had to be at a venue speaking back to the team in the studio. We followed the news, from strikes to exhibitions to the farm. We were there capturing footage and then returning back to edit the footage for whatever it was we needed it for. It was full on, non-stop. I had the privilege to get a placement at FT Advisor. So I spent 2 weeks working at FT and it was an incredible experience. I watched as they did video episodes. I took part in a podcast. They took my picture, yes, so that my picture could show on the articles that I wrote. I got to write articles. Here is the library with all of the Financial Times over the years. It was, it was such an experience. I honestly loved every second of it. And the view was good too. My next placement was at PA Media, and I started the day after the Pope died. So, of course, we were straight at the cathedral getting people's opinions and views on the situation and doing a lot of hanging around. Because honestly, there is a lot of hanging around that's involved in journalism, just waiting and waiting. So, yeah, we waited. Then we were at the Crown Court and we waited. And, bear in mind that we have to carry our cameras and our tripods with us. So, it's no mean feat, I was doing more steps by midday than I usually did in an entire day. On my last day at PA Media, I got the privilege of going to film Lewis Hamilton, who was coming to open a shop. So there I was, ready, prepped to film him as he came in. And I did. To my surprise, my editor at the Financial Times had nominated me for an award, an employability award at Westminster. And I went with Emma for the celebrations. And I won the short-term placement student of.
And for our short-term placement, we had Zainab Tanuke Akimbulumo, who completed a placement at the Financial Times. The team there highlighted that within 2 weeks, Tanuke had published 5 pieces on FT Advisor, commissioned 2 more, and taken part in a podcast just within those 2 weeks. Let's have a round of applause.
I know it sounds really good, but I have to say I had the best editor at the FT. I really did. So, I cannot believe that a year has passed. I have literally spent the last year like a kid in a candy store. I've made new friends, I've learned new skills, and I have come out with a master's in multimedia journalism. So, watch out, world. I'm coming for you.